Assalamualaikum, DAD5D and DKM5A. So I am preparing this video just to introduce you to graphs and charts and also how to describe graphs and charts. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to have a look at two presentation on the basic information that you need to know about graphs and charts, and also how to describe both of them. And later, I'm going to show you some examples from the module, just for your reading, for your information, so that you can be prepared for the test. Because we believe that next week on Monday is a holiday, and we have very constrained time to finish everything. So I do believe that it is important for me to prepare this video presentation so that at least you can have your own time to watch and understand what is being discussed in this topic. All right, okay, if you're ready, then let me show you the slides on graphs and charts. Right. So what we are going to do is I'm going to explain to you what are graphs and charts and what do you need to understand when we are talking about graphs and charts. Okay. What is graphs and charts? What are graphs and charts? Graphs and charts often accompany text. Okay. For example, if you look at the paragraph that I have provided in the in the slides, you can see that if you solely read the text without having the aid of table, you might not be able to get the whole idea of what is being discussed in the paragraph. For example, if you look at the paragraph, the championship bicycling race is a major event. Jazz has trained for years to compete at this level and can go quite fast. Starting from rest, Jazz can accelerate to 20 miles per hour. The coach records times and speeds and puts them in a table, which is attached to the paragraph. The coach wants to Jazz's progress and to see if there is a pattern in this data. So the table here serves the purpose of explaining or recording the data of Jess's progress throughout the training session. Okay, all right. Next, graphs and charts will provide an at a glance visual presentation of trends and changes in data. Because what is important when we are looking at graphs and charts, we wanted to know what is the trend, what is the pattern, if there is any changes, what are the changes involved. All right, okay. So for example, if you look at the two pie charts provided to you, one is recorded in 19 one is data recorded in 1950, and the other one is data recorded in 2010. So we can see that uh, if we are look if we look at the title, we know that both data talks about the average household expenditure by major category, right? If you look at the graphs provided in the page, you can see that there are several categories being studied. For example, housing, food, healthcare, education, transportation, and others. Okay, here the the legend. I mean, what is being sorry. Okay. Okay, if we look at the here, housing, food, healthcare, education, transportation, and other, this is what we call legend or key. Okay, uh, in Bahasa Melayu, we say that this is the petunjuk lah. Okay, the category being discussed in the graph, right? if we can have a look at the graphs provided, we can see that there are major differences, or there are major differences in the trends and changes over time. Okay, when we are comparing 2010 to 1950, for example, like if we look at the first graph, we can see that in 1950, majority of the household expenditure will be on housing. However, in 2010, they only spend about 22% of the household expenditure on housing. And if we look at the graph in 1950, or the bar chart in the pie chart in 1950, we can see that 3.3% is is spent on healthcare. However, sorry, in transportation. However, it becomes larger in 2010. All right. Hold on, yeah. Right. Where can we find graphs and charts? Graphs and charts are normally found in newspaper articles and reports, workplace documents, and also academic texts. Okay, it is the most convenient way, or it is the most suitable way to show audience um, trends, changes, and also uh, it is a, a more attractive way of you to present data. And then imagine if the page is full of only text, you might not be able to digest what is being discussed. Okay, all right. Right, next. So sorry. So sorry. Right. In many different jobs, people are required to use graphs and tables to display or interpret data. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at what are the types of graphs and charts, and what you need to understand, as well as when and how to use them. All right. Example, line graph. The first graph that we are going to have a look at is the line graph. And line graph display changes of data over time. Okay, I have mentioned time and again that when you want to present, or you want to talk about data that are changing over time, when it involves time, you should use line graphs. And information is organized along x-axis and y-axis. In most cases, the x-axis is the horizontal line, or the uh, and the y-axis will be the vertical one, right? And normally, x-axis displays intervals of time. Okay, either it's month or year or week. Okay, let's have a look at the example of line graph here. The title is How India Fared After First 100 COVID-19 Cases. Fared, okay, after first 100 COVID-19 cases. So basically, we know that the graph shows how how um, the comparison between India and other countries um, on the COVID-19 cases. Okay, because how do you know that we are comparing it with other countries? Because we look at the legend, we can see that there is India, Italy, US, UK, and South Korea. So you know that South Korea is the yellow line, the black line will be Italy, the blue one or the purple one is US, and then the green one is UK, and India is the orange line, right? And if you look at the x-axis, um, this probably is comparison between month. Okay, one would be January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Okay, how does it progress? How does it move up or down? All right. And then if you look at the y-axis, you can see that these are the number of cases. Okay, it goes by 5. The interval, 5,000. The interval is 5,000. Okay, and it starts on zero. And the source, it would be very good if you present line graphs or bar graph or pie chart, and you provide the source of the information. So the source here is European Center for Disease Control and Prevention, our worldindata.org. Okay. If we look at the graph, we understand that um, compare compare compared to other countries, India is not that high. All right, the number of cases in India is not that high. The highest would be South Korea, and the second highest is Italy. Okay, all right. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, bar graph. Um, Bar graph is actually a useful way to compare data, and the bars represent the quantities. It can be displayed horizontally or vertically. In this case, this graph is displayed in a vertical form. All right. Whereas if you um, turn it the other way around, it will be uh, horizontally. All right. This one is horizontally. If you turn it the way around, it will be vertically. Okay. Let's look at the graph. What is the title of the graph? The title of the graph is "In What Ways Has COVID-19 Impacted Your Business?" So we know that this particular bar graph discuss on how COVID-19 impact the business. Okay. All right. And if we look at the scale or the y-axis, we can see that there are five categories being discussed, five way COVID-19 impacted the business. Number one would be it reduced customer demand. Um, Number two will be disruptions of supply chain. And number three, delays in progressing government business. Number four, distribution channel disruption and reduce investor demand. All right. Okay. And if you look at the x axis, that shows the percentage of impact, okay, of COVID-19 to the business, right? A source use Go lab survey of 410 young entrepreneurs across 18 countries in Asia Pacific, and this is done in March 2020. So going back to the bar graph, we can say that 88% of the respondents mentioned that COVID-19 reduced the customer demand, and only 21% talks about how um, COVID-19 reduced the investor demand. Okay, all right. And when you are explaining about bar graph or even line graph, you don't have to talk about every bar shown or every line shown. What you can use, what you can do is you only explain the most significant information that you would like to highlight when you are doing the presentation. Even when you are doing the interpreting, that is, you are writing about the graph and chart, you don't have to explain about everything. The thing that you might want to touch on is the title of the graph, what is represented by the x-axis and y-axis, and what happened overall, represented by the information in the line graph and also the bar graph. Right. Next, pie chart. Pie chart sometimes is also called the circle chart. Okay, the circle chart. So pie chart display proportion or percentages. Right. Um, we seldom talks about number in the sense of how many. All right, and the circle represents the whole. And I would like to bring your attention to when you are using pie chart, you can only discuss on one area, I mean one thing, right? And the parts of the whole are represented by the pieces of the circle, okay, the slices, just like a pizza, all right? And okay, if you look at the title of the graph here, how often do you disinfect your cell phone after you heard about the COVID-19 outbreak? So the whole pie chart is discussing on the frequency of the user disinfecting his or her cell phone. Okay, all right. And if you look at the slices, you have five slice, five category. That is once per year, once per month, less than once per year, once per week, and daily. Right. If we look at the pie chart, we can see that the large number of user, cell phone user, disinfect their cell phone daily, every day, and only 6% of the cell phone user disinfect their handphone or cell phone once per year. All right. And less than 70% of the cell phone user disinfect their cell phone less than once per year. You might want to do that. Okay, when you are explaining, not necessarily you explain every category. Right. In a nutshell, as a conclusion, you use line graph when you want to show a change in data over time. Always remember, when time is involved, we use line graph. And then you can use multiple lines to show different sets on a single graph. Okay, just like the example that I've shown you on how India fared after the 100 cases. And then bar graph is used when you want to compare data by category. All right. You can show multiple bars per category to compare more than one set of data. And circle graph or pie chart is used when you want to compare data as parts of a whole. Right. You can always go to Microsoft Word and explore the type of graphs that is available. All right. In the section of graphs and charts. Yeah, smart chart, if I'm not mistaken. Right. Next, we are going to have a look at the parts of graphs and charts. Okay. Here, we are going to have a look at the parts of a line graph. Okay. The first thing that you need to go to is you have when you are looking at the graph and charts, the first thing that you need to look to is you have a look at is the title of the graph. Okay, if you look at this line, this particular line graph, the title is ice cream sandwiches sold in the cafeteria. And then the title will tell you what the graph is about. Okay, right? Then have a look at the x-axis and also the y-axis. Right. If you look at the x-axis. I'm trying to find the explanation of the x-axis. This is the x-axis, and if you look at the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that is the label day of week, the axis label. The function of axis labels is to tell you about the information on the graph. Okay, the days of the week are listed on the x-axis, and then the x-axis shows things being compared. How many days are compared? And it is also called the horizontal line. The horizontal axis. Sorry. And here, this is the label for the y-axis, number of ice cream. The y-axis tells what is being measured. What is being compared is on x-axis. What is being measured is on the y-axis. All right. If you look at the number here at the side of the graph, 0, 2, 4, 6 up until 20, these are called the scale. All right. The scale shows the units in the graph. And we can also call this the y-axis, and normally it is arranged in vertically, and normally y-axis has numbers for the amount of stuff being measured, and then this scale goes from 0, in this case of the line graph that I'm showing you, it goes from 0 to 20. All right. And then if you look at the graph, you can see that there are grid here, the background of the graph. So this is called the grid, and it will help you. The function of a grid is to help you read the units. Okay. Right. Dot. You can see dot here. 4 dots at 16, at 8, 11, 4, and 19. The dots or points show how many. These points give the fact. That is the number, the exact number. For example, if you look at the line graph here, we can say that there were 16 ice cream sandwiches sold on Monday, and there were 8 ice cream sandwiches sold in Tuesday, 11 on Wednesday, 4 in Thursday, and 19 on Friday. Okay, the peak of the sale is on Friday. The highest number being sold, the peak, yeah, PEAK, is 19 on Friday, and the lowest, okay, the lowest is 4 on Thursday. All right. If you look at the box here, a line that goes up means there is an increase in the number from one point to the next. And if the line goes down, which means that there is a decrease in the number from one point to the next. And if you see a straight line, it means that the line stays the same and the data is same from one point to the next. Okay, that is line graph. Let's have a look at bar graph. This is bar graph. If you look at the title, student's favorite color, so you know that this bar graph talks about the choice of color among the choice of favorite color among students. Okay, and all bar graphs always have a title. Not necessarily, not only bar graph, line graph and pie chart also have title. And all bar graphs have labels to let you know what each bar stands for. Same goes with line graph and also pie chart. And then it has numbers, the scale. All right. A bar graph uses bars to show a picture of the data collected. All right. Okay. Okay. Next. This is the parts of a circle graph or a pie chart. Okay, title, pet survey for 8th grade. So you know that the pie chart talks about the pet owned by 8th grader. Okay, and then the sectors or the slices. It represents one part of the data set, and legend or the key. You know that from the legend, we know that there are 5 categories, or there are 5 different um, group that is being discussed of pet. Yeah, for example, like this color, the purple one is cat, and then blue dog, dark blue is cats and dogs, both. Yeah, and orange is no pets, and green would be fish. So if we are looking at the pie chart, we know that 45% of the 8th grader owns dogs, and 25% of the 8th grader has no pets at all. All right, and the lowest number of uh, fish as a pet is 5%. Right, right. Let's try some exercises. All right. Hmm. Adanya. Right. Exercise 1. Study the graphs and charts and identify the types of graphs and charts. What is the information displayed in each graph? Right, let's have a look at the first one. What do we call this? This is this is the bar graph. And what is the title of the bar graph? Nicest fruit. Okay. How many fruits are being compared? How many types of fruit are being compared? Six types of fruit. And here the x-axis talks about the number of people. All right. We can see that 40 people say that blueberry is the nicest fruit, whereas 10 says that banana is the nicest fruit, and only 5 out of 40 or maybe more say that grape is the nicest fruit. Okay. Um, let's have a look at the pie chart. What is the title of the pie chart? Camera and camcorder sales. So we know that this pie chart talks about the sales of camera and also camera sale in percentage. Percentage of total sale, right? How many types of camera is discussed or is compared in the pie chart 6. Okay, advanced digital camera, full frame digital camera, independent filmmaker camcorder, slim digital camera, SLR digital camera, and other. And what do we call this? This is called legend. All right, legend. So we can, if we look at the pie chart, we know that 39% of sales are on SLR digital camera, and the lowest sale is on others. Okay, other types of camera. So let's have a look at the line graph. The title of the line graph is average monthly rainfall. So there'll be two um, lines. Allah. I'm so sorry. So, sorry. The line graph shows the average monthly rainfall in City 1 and also City 2. It compares the rainfall in 1 year. All right. The range is 1 year from January to December. So we can say that the highest rainfall of City 1 is 5 in January and also December, and the lowest will be 1 in July, whereas the lowest for City 2 is 0 in July, and the highest is 2.2, 2.3 in January. Okay, all right. Okay, next. We'll talk about some parts of the graphs and charts. So we also talk about some terms in graphs and charts. So um, let's try this exercise. to check on our understanding and also our memory on what is being discussed just now. What is x-axis? X-axis is normally the horizontal line. Okay, x-axis, horizontal axis. And what is horizontal? Horizontal is from left to right or the other way round. Y-axis uh, is the vertical axis. Quantity is amount. Vertical from top, from top to bottom, or the other way, or vice versa. And data will be information or number of facts. And percentage will be a fraction or a part of 100. Okay, all right. X-axis is the horizontal axis. Horizontal is from left to right. Y-axis, the vertical axis. Quantity is amount. Vertical to bottom. From bottom to top. From top from bot from top to bottom or vice versa. And data, information or number of facts, and percentage will be a fraction or a part of 100. All right, next. Right, let's have a look at exercise 3. Right, exercise 3. Read the bar graph and the description of graph below and identify the information that is not consistent with the information the graph displays. Okay, let's have a look at the graph. What is the title of the graph? The title of the graph is, what type of graph is this? Line graph, bar graph, or pie chart? This is a bar graph. And what is the title of the graph? What do elementary schools fundraise for? Meaning that the graph will show you information on what do elementary school uh, collect money for. All right, collect fund for. And if you look at the bar graph, you can see that there are 7 categories being discussed, or 7 purpose of fundraising activity. That is number 1 for field trip, and then for sports, for arts and music, for libraries, school libraries, school grounds, for class supply, and also for computers. All right. Um, if you look at the graph, you can see that the y-axis talks about the what is being compared, what is being observed on the category, and the y-axis show us the percentage. And then the source of this graph is the annual report on Ontario's public schools 2008 and page 11. It can be found in page 11 under the category of people for education, and this is with permission. All right, let's have a look at the graph. 80% is being spent on field trips, and then 60% is on sports, 55% 53%, sorry, for arts and music, 51% on libraries, 45% on school grounds, 29% on class supplies, and 25% on computers. Right. Let's have a look at the explanation and see which one is mismatched or not consistent. Right. Most Ontario elementary schools hold fundraising events to raise money. Right. These events include silent auction, pizza lunches, and bake sales. Schools spend the money they raise on a variety of activities and school supplies. For example, most Ontario schools raise money for field trips. Is this information consistent with the graph? Yes, because most means almost full, almost all. So 80% is counted as most. About three quarters of Ontario schools fundraise for computers. Let's have a look at how much is spent on computers. 25%. 25% means it's only one fourth of the money goes to computers. Whereas this sentence say that about three quarters of Ontario schools fundraise for computers. Is it consistent? Yes, it's not consistent. All right. A minority of schools raise money for sports activities and libraries. Look at library 51. Uh, sports activity is 60%. Can this be considered as minority? No, because libraries is half, over half. Sports is over 60%. Is 60%, so over half already. So we cannot categorize this as minority. So this is again not consistent. And then just under half of Ontario schools raise money for arts and music. How much is spent on arts and music? 53%. Is it under or over half? 53. Half is 50%. So it is over 50. So here again, the sentence is not consistent with the information displayed in the graph. See? Understand? Right. These are some exercises that we can go through in which is related to graphs and charts. Let us have a look at one if we can. Mm, hold on, yeah. Okay, let's go. Ah, it seems like we cannot try this. But maybe what you can do is you can try it later. All right. Okay. So after this, we are going to have a look at uh, how to present graphs and charts. Okay. So for that, I'm going to give you like um 5 minutes break just for you to stretch yourself, um, and have a rest. Okay, 5 minutes. Yeah, so we can Mhm. Mhm. Okay, let's continue with our session. So I'm going to share with you the module. Let's have a look at the module. All right. This is graphs and charts. So if you look at the module, you can also refer to your module on page 2, unit 1, page 2, types of charts. There are several different types of graphs, charts and graphs, but the three most common are probably the line graph, the bar graph, and histogram, as well as pie chart. So they are generally used for and best for quite different things. We have discussed about that earlier. All right. If you look at the property of line graph, a line graph is a type of graph or chart which shows information when a series of data is joined by line. Okay, that's why it is called line graph. And then it discusses the data, changes of data over a period of time. Okay, and it consists the properties of a line graph. It consists of vertical and horizontal scale, and this scale may or may not be uniform, and then the data point corresponds to the change over a period of time, and the line joining this data points show the data point show the trend of the changes, whether it goes up or down, or it remains static, and the legend of course indicate the categories and data display. Okay, this is an example of multiple line graph where you can have several lines in the same graph, right? Look at the title. The title of this line graph is Influenza Cases in Mualim Recorded by Health Facility, right? Health facility means center or premise that takes care of the health. Meaning here, for example, like if you look at the legend, it shows that Tanjung Malim Clinic, Slim River Clinic, and Behrang 2020 Clinic. And the comparison or the observation is being done from May up to August, up to August, and we can see that the scale for the number of cases is in 100 interval. The interval for the cases counted cases is or recorded cases is 100. All right, every 100. So if you look at the line graph, it shows here that the lowest number of cases recorded in Tanjung Malim Clinic is over 300, and in Slim River Clinic almost 300, and in Behrang 2020 clinic is 400 cases. And the highest or the peak of the influenza cases recorded is at over 600, maybe 650 in Behrang 2020 clinic, 550 in Slim River clinic, and exactly 400 at Tanjung Malim clinic. And we can see that in January, the case dropped to just below 500 in Behrang 2020, and slightly over 300 in Slim River Clinic, and almost 300 cases in Tanjung Malim Clinic. It dropped down. Okay. However, it increased in August to 500 cases in Behrang 2020, uh, 300 cases in Tanjung Malim Clinic, and to almost 300 cases in Slim River Clinic. Okay, in this particular line graph, I am explaining to you the whole thing. Okay, every month progression. However, if you are doing the interpretation later, you need not explain everything. Okay, all right. Right. If you look at this line graph, what is the line graph about? It's about, look at the title, COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. All right. How many confirmed cases is recorded between 18 March 2020 to 23rd March 2020? 18 March to 20, it is 1515. What is the difference between the number of cases recorded before and after MCO? Before MCO is 18, all right, 18 March. So the number of cases is 790. After MCO, the number of cases is 2626. So you just count the difference, minus, and you can get the difference. All right, okay. Let's have a look at this one. All right. The exercise is not there already. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on. Right. Okay. Let's have a look at, I'm not going to touch on how to describe the line graph because we are going to have a look at um, uh, slides on how to describe the line graph, the bar graph, and also the pie chart later. But now we are going to have a look at the introduction of what is bar graph, what is line graph, and what is pie chart, right? A bar graph is one of the frequent method used to present various types of data, all right? It is usually asked in the data interpretation section of the competitive exam, all right? It is the representation of data where the vertical bars are placed at equal distance from each other, and the value of the data represented is given by the height and length of the bar. So we're not looking at the progression or the direction of the line, but we are looking at the height and the length of the bar. All right. Uh, they are plotted against the horizontal axis, that is the x-axis, of course, and the value can be shown by colored or shaded vertical bars of equal width. And in a horizontal bar, the values are plotted against the vertical axis called the y-axis, and they are commonly used as the data can be easily analyzed. Okay, if you look at the one in the example, cars produced by Protiga in 2020. So Azia, Elza, and Reza. What a name, right? And you can see that the highest number of car produced in January is Elza. The highest in April is Azia. And the lowest in January is Azia. Whereas we can say that Reza is having like a steady increase of the production. Okay, there are types of bar graphs used to represent data. You can have simple bar graph, composite bar graph, stacked bar graph, and also bar charts to show deviation. So simple bar graph is as such. Okay, you have category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. Very straightforward. Okay, and then composite bar graph, you can have series in one bar, right? Several series in one bar. However, if stack, I would say that and stack bar graph and composite bar graph is almost the same. Okay, let's have a look at stack bar graph are used to represent the breakup of the content for continuous variables. Here, it is very convenient to use it for comparing different sets of data. It can be used to represent factors such as revenues, profit, losses over a period of couple of years. And then here, um, composite bar chart is used to solve the limitation of simple bar chart. And then we use composite bar chart to show two or more than two continuous variables on the same graph. Okay, so stack bar chart and composite bar chart is basically the same, right? What is bar chart to show deviation? Okay, you can have negative and also positive. The deviation means perbezaan. All right. Okay, let's have a look at this one. What is the information that you can get from the bar graph? Where do you go to when you want to know the when you want to know the information of the bar graph? You go to the title, right? The title say new COVID cases reported daily in China. So basically, we know that this bar graph talks about the new COVID cases reported in China over the period of 3rd March till 11th March. All right. And if you look at the number of cases, it shows in 50 interval. All right. When is the highest and lowest point of the graph? The highest would be on the 3rd March and the lowest is on the 11th March. What can you say about the number of reported cases on 6th and 7th March? 6th March and 7th March, the total number of reported cases are the same. All right. Not going to talk about how to describe. Later, we are going to talk about it. And let's have a look at pie chart. Right, pie chart. Right. Pie chart talks about parts of a whole. So if you look at the one shown in the screen, the title of the pie chart is favorite mobile phone brand in 2023. So we know that this particular pie chart talks about the favorite mobile phone when in 2020. So how many types of phone is being discussed here? Look at the legend. We have Samsung, we have iPhone, we have Huawei and Xiaomi. So the highest percent of uh, the most favorite mobile phone brand is stated there, Samsung, because it has the highest number. More over than 50% of the population use Samsung, and the lowest number is Xiaomi. All right. Right. Look at the pie chart here. We have talked about this just now. Okay. How has COVID-19 impacted your business overall? So there are how many slices? 6 slices. Positive, no impact, slight downturn, some downturn, major slowdown, and completely stop. What information is conveyed by the pie chart? Look at the title. How has COVID-19 impacted your business? How many percent of the respondent indicated that COVID-19 has no impact at all? No impact, 8.01%. List the three largest percentage of the pie chart and how does COVID-19 impacted their business. 27.65, major slowdown, 21.96, completely stopped, and some downturn, that is 21.19, right? Okay, not talking about the interpretation. not going to talk about the interpretation now. All right. Let's have a look at this pie chart, this slides. But before that, can we have 2 minutes break? Because I need to drink water. All right. Okay. Let me share with you this. Describing graphs and charts. We have been exposed to the types of graphs and charts. Now we are going to have a look at how to describe the graphs and charts. Right. Let's have a look at this YouTube video. What I want you to do is you pay attention to how the graphs and charts are represented and look at the terms used in describing trends and changes. You can always pause the video or you may later, at later time, have a look at the video on your own. Okay. But still, let me show you the video.
Hello and welcome to this video all about graphs. Many of my students have trouble describing trends, but it's really very simple. Today I'm going to show you a few different expressions and rules that will help you describe and explain these trends. We're going to begin by listening to a presentation by a business analyst at my entirely fictitious company, Shine Limited. He's going to describe the various ups and downs and peaks and troughs of our sales in the last financial year. So, over to you, Mr. Business Analyst.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my presentation of Shine Limited sales in the year 2011. As you can see, 2011 was a rather turbulent year for us, with a lot of ups and downs. After launching our product, there was a gradual rise in sales in January from 0 to just under 2,000. Following a slight fall in February, we commenced an advertising campaign which resulted in sales rocketing by 8,000 from around 2,000 to a peak of just under 10,000. There was a small decrease at the end of March before sales leveled off and remained constant throughout April and May. In July, sales dipped to approximately 7,000, but improved in late August to reach 8,000. Unfortunately, sales then plummeted, dropping dramatically between September and October by 7,000 units, bottoming out and hitting a year low of 1,000. Luckily, sales began to recover, albeit unsteadily and with frequent fluctuation. But in late December, sales stood at 4,000, and the good news is it looks as if we'll avoid bankruptcy.
So how did my business analyst describe the graph? Well, he used a combination of verb, adverb, and adjective noun collocations, prepositions, and of course, numbers. So let's look first of all at the verb, adverb collocations. He used verbs like to increase, and to decrease. But we shouldn't always use the same terms over and over again. Let's look at some alternatives. To increase means to go up. or to rise, or to ascend, or to gain. And to decrease means to fall, or to drop, or to decline, or to descend. If figures rise very quickly, they rocket. And if they decrease very rapidly, they plummet. But sometimes verbs don't give us enough information, and we need adverbs to tell us if the figures have risen very slowly and steadily, or very rapidly and erratically. So that was the verb-adverb collocation, but what about the adjective-noun collocation? Well, it's really very easy. All you have to do is convert the adverb into an adjective and the verb into a noun. So sales fell steeply becomes there was a steep fall in sales. Sales increased rapidly becomes there was a rapid increase in sales. And sales dropped slowly becomes there was a slow drop in sales. Let's look at some examples.
There was a slow and steady increase. Sales increased slowly and steadily. There was a gradual rise. Sales rose gradually. There was a sharp increase in sales. Sales increased sharply. There was a considerable jump in sales. Sales jumped considerably. Sales rose steeply. There was a steep rise in sales. Sales rocketed. There was a gentle, steady decrease. Sales decreased slowly and steadily. There was a gradual fall in sales. Sales fell gradually. There was a continuous drop in sales. Sales dropped continuously over the year. Sales peaked at 10,000 units. There was a peak in sales of 10,000 units. Sales reached a high of 10,000 units. Sales bottomed out at 1,000 units. Sales hit a low of 1,000 units. Sales reached a low of 1,000 units. Sales leveled off and then remained constant. Sales flattened out and then stayed the same. Sales fluctuated. Sales rose and fell. Sales undulated. Sales increased in fits and starts over the year. Sales went up unsteadily over the 12-month period. Sales rose erratically over the course of the year. Sales stagnated for about 7 months and then recovered significantly. There was a 7-month stagnation in sales and then there was an improvement.
So we've almost finished. We just have one more topic. When, where, and how do we use prepositions in graphs? The most important prepositions to do with graphs include from, to, by, at, and of. We use from and to describe the direction of movement. For example, there was an increase from 2 million to 5 million. We use by to describe the difference. There was an increase from 2 million to 5 million. There was an increase by 3 million. We use at to describe a static point on the graph. Sales peaked at 5 million. Sales bottomed out at 2 million. Sales currently stand at 3 million. Finally, we can use of to give any quantity following a noun. For example, there was an increase of 2 million, there was a peak of 5 million, there was a decrease of 3 million. So that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and comment. And your homework for today is to describe this graph.
All right. Okay. You have watched the video just now, so you know how you have already been exposed to how to describe the line graph by using verb, adverb, and also adjective noun form of explaining or interpreting data. And you have looked at how you use preposition in explaining line graph. Okay, I want you to watch and rewatch the video again so that you can understand um, how to explain and how to describe trends and changes in line graph. Because if you look at your module, there'll be like exercises on describing trends and changes in line graph and also bar graph as well as pie chart, and you are going to be tested on this, as well as there will be one assignment on describing graphs and charts. All right, next. I think this is the same thing. Let me have a look at. No, I'm so sorry. Okay, let's have a look at this one. This is, I want you to look at how the graphs is being described with the use of appropriate language forms and function. And what you can do is you can try your own description and interpretation of graphs in the next slide that I'm going to give you. Right, let's have a look at this one. I think this one is also included in your module. Right. Okay, all right. The graph shows information about technology usage in the UK over time. This is in your module, actually. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features. Make comparisons where relevant. Okay, here, the title of the graph is not provided to you. However, you know that the graph is talking about technology usage in UK over time because it is mentioned in the description of the assignment or the text. Okay, and if you look at the x-axis, it shows a year from 2000 to 2015, 5 years interval, and then percentage of our population, of course, from 0 to 100. And look at the legend. There are six categories of technology usage being discussed in the graph. Number one is the use of internet, and then the use of social media, owning a smartphone, having a broadband, sorry, at home, owning a tablet, and also owning a smartwatch. All right. The graph shows the rate of which British people adopted new technology over a period of a 15-year period from 2000 to 2015. The figures are given as percentage of the population. It doesn't explains more on the x-axis and also the y-axis. All right. Overall, there was a widespread adoption of new technology during this year. Okay, nearly 9 out of 10 people. How would you know? Um, it is not provided in the graph directly. However, you can do the maths. All right. The figures for having broadband in the home, ownership of a smartphone, and use of social media platforms are all high that year too, at around 70 to 80%. This is, we are talking about 2015. All right. And nearly half the population owned a tablet. The only exception to this smartwatch is smartwatch ownership, which remain comparatively low at 5%. Right? And looking at the trends over time, you can see that the new technology increased dramatically during from 2000 to 2015. For example, internet usage tripled and social media usage grew strikingly by 78% points. So here, if you look at increased dramatically, this is adverb, verb, adverb. All right. Okay. And then similarly, this followed a steep upward trajectory. However, for some products, the graph shows that growth slowed down noticeably after an initial surge. It goes up in the beginning and then it goes down. Social media usage, for instance, was near zero in 2005 and shot up to 52% in 2010, before climbing more slowly to 80% in 2015. Also, broadband subscriptions rose steadily by 30 percentage points every 5 years to 2010, but by a modest of 4 percentage point after then. In contrast, the newer technologies such as tablets showed no sign of leveling off, meaning that it goes up and up, right? Ownership of all the technologies was increasing. It will be interesting to see when it peaks. Okay, if you look at the explanation, the tips for writing. The blue one, it give a brief introduction in paragraph 1 and summary in paragraph 2. You can also give the summary in your final paragraph. Okay, here, the purple one, it use adverbs and adjectives to give opinions or comment on how big changes are. You want to talk about the changes and how big, how slow, how fast. Okay, these often collocate with verbs and nouns for trends. All right, and here the yellow one is where you make generalized description of the percentage, and it is sometimes easier to make sense of than exact percentage. Okay, um, you buat anggapan. Okay, and then here the green one, you use specific verbs and nouns for describing trends, and the last one is you are comparing between different features of the graph. Okay, if you look at this graph or the explanation itself, you may find that it is quite taxing, it is quite difficult for you to manage. However, when we give you graphs and charts later, you may not, you may try to use this form, this language, use the language forms, use the expression used in the graphs and chart. However, if you find it like you are not up to that level yet, you can use simpler vocabulary, simpler phrases, but try as best as you can to adopt the adjective noun, and also verb uh, language focus or language forms in describing graphs and charts. Okay, that is for line graph. Let's have a look at I don't know, we can, this is line graph again. Hold on, yeah. This is bar graph. How to describe bar graph? Okay, the bar graph shows the amount of money spent on two types of electronic items in country X. Okay, country X, amount of money, sales, $1,000,000, two types of electronic items, that is computers and smartphone, right? The chart gives information about how much money was spent on computers and smartphones in country X between the year 2011 and 2015. According to the chart, there were upward trends in spending on both items, meaning that you're spending more and more, right? Computer sales increased steadily by $5 million each year, and smartphone sales remain level at $10 million until 2013, and then increased dramatically, reaching $45 million in 2015. Although they are still less than the value of computer sales, they are only $5 million behind. People's total expenditure on these electronic devices rose dramatically in this period. The total was 40 million in 2011, and it rose to 95 million in 2015. So overall, the sales of both of these items grew, but smartphone sales grew more quickly. If these trends continue, we can expect smartphone sales to overtake computer sales in 2016 or soon after. The example of graph and also the explanation is included in your module. So later, you may want to revisit the topic. Okay. And then this is how to explain pie chart. All right. This is an example of exercise that you may want to try. This is for line graph. This is for pie chart. And also this is for bar graph. Right. Let's have a look at your module. Okay. Now you're going to have a look at how to describe. How to describe. Okay. This is describing line graph. Okay. When you are talking about line graph, we are talking about the direction of the line, whether it goes up, goes down, remain the same, or up and down. That is fluctuation. You can have a look at your module on how to use the uh, verbs and nouns in expressing or describing the trends and changes, the direction of the line in a line graph. And then here, when you are describing the degree, uh, how fast, how slow, and then the speed, and also the comparative, how to compare and contrast. So if you look at the graph, you can see that uh, this is how to describe the trends and movement of graph. When you are talking about increase, when you see a line in such a way, it means that it increased sharply and then increase substantially. When you have up and down line, it will we use fluctuate to describe that movement, and that is how you say increase steadily, increase slowly and gradually. That is leveling out. When you have a straight line, that is leveling out and increase slightly. Okay. And again, just now talked we have talked about adjective and noun structure of how we can describe line graph, as well as verb and adverb structure. So these are the example of how to explain. Okay, this is some exercise. I I hope you try this exercise so that after the holiday, after the Deepavali holiday, we can discuss about this. Okay, activity 1, activity 2, 3. You don't need to try this. Activity 4, and then you might want to have a look at how this is when you compare data in bar graph. You can say fractionally higher or marginally lower, slightly higher or a little lower, somewhat lower, considerably higher, substantially lower. This is when you compare the dark and the light blue bar, right? Okay. Here is an example of how to explain or to describe the population of major European countries in 1997. Okay, what you can do is you can have a look at the example and try. And then if you look at this one, look at the graph below and complete the sentences using the phrases on the previous page. Okay, 1 and 2. Sales were in 1. What is that? Sales were fractionally higher or slightly higher in 1. And if you want to talk about 2, productivity was somewhat lower in 2 last month. And the level of productivity in 1 is fractionally higher compared to 2, right? If you look at this one, this is an example of a car sales in 2015 from January to August, right? And the number is mentioned on top of the bar. So if you look at Jan and February, and the expressions given is marginally lower. So the car sales were marginally lower in February. Okay, have a look at February and March, somewhat higher. So which one is higher? March is higher. So the car sales the car sales were somewhat higher in March. And then you can try the rest. Okay, all right. So this is an example of the pie chart again. Okay, how do we explain pie chart? We don't talk about numbers as such as 3, 4, 700. No, but we talk about uh, the percentage. But we sometimes we don't mention the percentage, but we use the vocabulary. For example, a tiny fraction, almost a quarter, exactly a quarter, roughly one quarter, approximately three quarter, a tiny portion. Yeah, have a look at this page 25 and try to understand how to describe pie charts. Okay, this is an example of describing pie charts. And what you can do is you can try exercise activity 9. Okay, you may need this later when we do our assignment of describing graphs and charts. So for that, I think that's it that I would like to share. Since Monday is a holiday, so you don't have class. So I think I hope whatever that I'm sharing today will be sufficient for you. Uh, please have a look at your module. Please have a look at the the exercises given, because right after the holiday, we are going to um, have a test. We will revisit the topic once, and then we have tests, as well as we are going to have your second assignment, the last assignment, that is describing graphs and charts. So I think that's it for today. Thank you very much. I really hope that you pay attention to this presentation, so that it can help you, like solve and trying all the exercises given in your module. So for that, thank you very much. I'll see you after the break. I mean, after the Deepavali holiday. Thank you very much.